I don't know anybody who really likes change, but sometimes you have to make it. So here's my survival guide for when you have to change. My name is Amelia Sims. This is Reinventing You, the channel where you can watch me go through a reinventioning process. I post twice a week on Sundays and Tuesdays, and I hope that you will subscribe and join me in this journey. One of the things that'll help anyone survive the changes that are going through life is to keep focused on your goals. Don't lose sight of what the big picture is, where you're headed or where you want to be headed. And I think that is really important because I know I'm the kind of person who tends to be distracted easily, and I end up putting out fires and not really focusing on what I really should be about. Another part of a survival guide, I think, is to be yourself, even when it makes you uncomfortable. I've talked again and again about being an authentic person, and I think that's a really big part of surviving change. Part of change is, well, changing. And when you change, a lot of times that makes other people uncomfortable, and sometimes they will lash out and it causes a misunderstanding, or they don't really get where you're coming from, or something's happened and you can get in a really big fight or argument, or even stop speaking to people because of what's going on with you in your life. And so part of the survival guide, I think, is to really see that not everybody's going to understand where you're coming from. And this is not a time to lash out. For you to lash out at other people, they lash out at you for whatever reason, to keep your cool and not to lash back, not to get angry. Just to hear them out and to go on, let it go if you need to. If you find that the person is really not somebody you want to be around, then you need to let them go. But otherwise, a really good healthy dose of forgiveness is essential when you're changing anything in your life. And the really big things about change is doing it for yourself. I have to be reinventing for me, not because my husband wanted me to, or somebody outside, or my former job, or anybody. I have to be making the change for me, and I think that is so essential. It's your goals, it's your life, it's you. So make changes for yourself. I've talked to this a little bit about in other videos, that it's really important to let things go. But I think before you let it go, you really have to look at it. You have to mourn the past. Right now, I am struggling with some things that I left undone, or things that I don't think I did right in the job that I've just retired from. I'm struggling with that right now, and I realize I need a period of mourning. I need a period of grief. I need to really struggle with these things, but to really forgive myself, to mourn the past, but then to let it go and to move on. And sometimes in order to let it go, you've got to have that period of grief. You've got to have that period of mourning so that you can accept it and continue on. Speaking of continuing on, as they say, if you're going through hell, keep on moving. We all have downtimes in our lives, and sometimes in order to get through them, in order to get through the change, you just have to keep going. Change sometimes brings about a lot of questions and suffering and uncomfortable times, and sometimes you just keep focused on those goals, keep authentic to yourself, and just keep on moving. Okay, here's another thing about surviving change is to dream big. Now, my problem is I can dream really big. The problem is I'll dream big and I think it has to happen yesterday, and that is not the case. Or I'll dream big and I'll say, okay, these are the things that I need to get accomplished in order for this dream to be a reality. And what happens is it is so overwhelming. There's no way that I can accomplish it. So dream big in order to survive change. But in order to really survive, you've got to break it down in little action steps. You've got to break it down in little things that you can accomplish. And when you've made an accomplishment, celebrate. I talked about mourning the past. Well, you got to celebrate all those things that you do well. If you reach a goal, whether it's a little one or a big one, celebrate. Do something. It doesn't have to be, getting out the champagne, but it can be calling somebody, or sitting down with a friend and playing a game, or binge watching a show, or hey, binge watching this channel. Do something fun to celebrate your accomplishments. And I think that's really important for me too. Otherwise, I have that big dream and I try to chew off too much. Important for change, and especially important for me, is to find ways to be accountable. In my previous job, there was lots of ways that I was accountable to lots of different people. So one of the things that is helpful for me is being on this channel, and you guys, you are helping me be accountable. You are part of my process. I think that without you and knowing that you're listening and watching, I don't know if I could really stick with being reinventing myself, because it's so easy where I am right now to say, oh, I'll just go back and do what I was doing or fill in for people and that kind of thing. But I realize that's not what I need to be about, but it would be so easy. But I would hate to get on camera and say, guess what? I've gone back to doing what I was doing. So you are part of my survival, making these changes, reinventing myself. And thank you. Please subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, you can hit the bell or punch the bell. Do you punch the bell? Do you hit the bell? Click on the bell, and that way whenever I post a new video, you'll get notified about that immediately. You are part of my change, and you're helping me to survive as I go through this reinventing process. My name is Amelia Sims. This is Reinventing You. Have a great one.